Hi there, I'm Naomi Kinsman, the founder and executive director of Society of Young Inklings. Now, hopefully you know us, but if you don't, we are an organization that's all about helping youth writers find their unique voices. We think that you should be able to write and share your stories no matter what age you are, and we are here to help you do just that. Now, this month we've been talking about poetry on these sessions, and today we're going to talk specifically about experiences. Now, poems are these tiny little jewels that help us to understand how something felt, not just in general, but to you. And so experiences are a very rich ground from which we can grow interesting poems. You might make the poem narrative. It might actually tell the story of your experience, or you might just remember exactly how it felt in that moment to feel proud or to feel excited or to feel sad. And you might grow your poem out of that feeling that you don't just know in general, but you know specifically based on real circumstances from your life. Now, to get ourselves warmed up a little bit today, what I'd like to do is play a game I enjoy in my Inklings classes a lot. It's called I Have Never. And I will say something that I have never done. And then if you have done this thing, if you were in an Inklings class, we would actually be sitting in a circle of chairs and you would stand up and you would race across the circle to another side of the circle. But since we're across the computer, here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to say I have never. And if you have done this thing that I've never done, I want you to jump 3 times, okay? It's honor code, so you just jump 3 times right where you are, and then we'll do another one. And if you want to give me a couple I have nevers on the screen, you want to comment, I'm happy to hop myself if I have never done the thing, if I actually have done the thing that you have never done. So here we go. I have never parachuted out of an airplane. If you have ever parachuted out of an airplane, you have to hop 3 times. Great. I have never traveled to China. If you have, hop 3 times. I have never eaten escargot. Have you? I have never found a 4-leaf clover. Have you? I have never flown in an airplane for more than 18 hours. Oh, look, we have some yes over there. Great. How about I have never set off fireworks myself? Actually, I have to say I did hold a sprinkler once when I was a kid, and I went running around my yard screaming because it was sparkling and I was so afraid, and my parents had to chase me down and take it away before it burnt me. But I've never set off any other kinds of fireworks. Okay, let me try some more. I have never had a German Shepherd dog. I've never owned or half owned or leased a horse. I have never swum or swam with dolphins. I have never, just recently I went on a Ferris wheel for the very first time. I had never done that before, but have you done that? Okay. I wonder if anyone who's listening has any ideas. If you have any ideas, you can put them in the comment section. And remember, I have to hop up and down if you say I've never done something and I actually have. So if you want to try that challenge, you're welcome to do that now. Now we're going to move on. So I Have Never is a great game because it helps us to start to think about our life experiences. So thinking about parachuting, if anyone actually has, or even bungee jumped or anything that's kind of wild and exciting like that, you know that feeling in the pit of your stomach. I have never eaten crab. Let's see. Yes, I actually have, so I don't have to jump up and down. Oh, wait. Do I have to? Oh, yes, I do. I have to jump up and down. Okay, there we go. Excellent. So what I was trying to say, sorry, distracted there for a second, is that when you are thinking about that feeling in the pit of your stomach of excitement, if you were just to describe it, let's say I was trying to say how excitement felt, and I might say it feels fizzy, it feels exciting, it feels energetic, it makes my skin tingle, right? Those things might be the first things that come to mind. But if I can sit myself in my mind down in the roller coaster at California Adventure that goes upside down, the very first time when I had never gone on an upside down roller coaster before, and I could think about how it felt to be sitting there, and it was a feeling of excitement but also true pure fear, right? And I remember my palms were sweaty and cold, and my stomach was all fizzy and upset, and I wasn't sure if I was going to survive, right? And I was trying my hardest to just focus and enjoy the experience, to be present, not to worry, but my mind was zipping around in all different directions. I could use all of those details that might be a little bit more interesting than just say I felt fizzy and excited to really show how it feels to feel excited. If I were to make a poem, I could use free verse, so I could make my lines. I could say, I could use narrative form, so I could say, I climbed into the roller coaster, gripped tight, held my breath, wondered when we would take off, and then, yee! I could use the sound, and I could go forward, and I could talk about, next I might say, skin tingling, heart thumping, eyes bulging, cheeks burning, right? I could continue to think about what would those feelings be, and I could continue to build in free verse all the way through the upside down loop and to the end of the roller coaster ride. But if I didn't want to tell the story, I could still tap into all of those feelings. I could think about that feeling of my skin tingling, and I could think about sort of that moment right before you start, right? At the edge. I wait, hoping, wondering, afraid. And then I could go on, and I could think about what does that excitement feel like. It's so interesting how close excitement is to fear, right? A lot of times we're excited because we're anticipating, we're ready for something to happen. It's the same thing with fear, right? We're waiting, we're right on the edge, we're seeing what will happen. And that line between the two is very interesting. So maybe that's what my poem will be about the line between excitement and fear. I could do a haiku, which is a 5-syllable and then 7-syllable and then 5-syllable poem again. So I could use those different points of view to make sure that I was really telling an interesting poem. So when I was doing haiku with some of our students recently, what I noticed is that whenever people are doing haiku, they're always counting off on their fingers, right? So I might say something like, let's see, fizzy, bubbling glee, fizzy bubbling glee, or fizzy bubbling joy, right? And then I could go into my 7 syllables, and then I would go into my 5. And you can see how when you're trying to think of those words, you have to pause. You have to give yourself the time to think through what's going to be the right word here. Now, these are some tools that you can use as you're trying to come up with a poem that really expresses an emotion. But the thing or an experience that you've had, an emotion that comes from that experience. I want to really point out that the point of a poem is not about how something feels in general. You're not trying to help everybody know how you're not trying to explain how everyone feels when they ride a roller coaster. You're trying to explain how you feel when you ride a roller coaster. And so if that's the case, you get to be very specific about the details that are true for you. And that's why it's so important to really think about those experiences that you've had and try to really remember and put yourself back in those places. Sometimes in our mind we have a picture of an experience and we've told it so many times that it just kind of feels like a snapshot. But we can't really walk into it. We can't feel it on our skin, and we can't hear it with our ears, and we maybe can't taste the taste of what Disneyland air tastes like unless we really take the time to think about what is that moment like. And those details are the ones that really bring a poem alive. Now, today we have a printable. This is one of my favorites. It has this fun format where you can actually put in your storyboard of some different moments, and you can print this out multiple times so that you can do a lot of different experiences. It has different emotions that are labeled on it. I felt nervous when, I felt proud when, I felt excited when, but then there's a lot of boxes that aren't labeled at all, which means that you can decide what feelings you want, or even if you can't name the feeling, you can put those moments in. And it says memorable moments because you want to think about those moments that really stood out to you, that would be worth writing a poem about. And that's one thing I want to finish up with today, is that a lot of times when I talk to people about writing, especially writing about their own lives, they say, I don't have anything that's interesting that happens to me. And I think that's sometimes because we just feel like, you know, we get used to our regular routine and we don't really remember that not everyone lives the same life that we do. So if you don't live in California like I do, right now it might not be 80 degrees outside at your house. And if I'm writing a poem about what it feels like to be in 80-degree weather and I'm sharing that with you and you're in the middle of a snowstorm, then that's going to be an exciting, interesting poem for you to read because you're thinking, when will it be warm for me, right? And on the opposite side of that, when I'm in 80-degree weather, I love the sun, but I think snow is amazing. I love it. When I went to Minnesota, we had these moments where we actually blew bubbles and the bubbles froze and they rolled on the ground. There's something about that feeling of being cold and watching how beautiful it is when there's snow covering everything. And if someone who is in a snowstorm right now was able to write about that, that would feel exciting and interesting to me. My point is that what feels normal to you, what feels like the everyday to you, is actually very special. And the more that you can honor those special moments, whether it's just walking around your neighborhood and what you see, or whether it is really paying attention to the people in your life and the way that they make you feel, sometimes it even just takes making sure to take advantage of the opportunities that are there for you. In my neighborhood right now, there's a little chalk drawing of a hopscotch. And, you know, it just takes a moment to take that little hop and hop along and see what you can see as you're in the neighborhood, right? And if you just take that moment to play, then now you have this little memory, this little moment that you can write a poem about. And so being a writer is not only about really expressing how things feel, but also taking the time to have those experiences so that you can write about them. So I encourage you to go out into the world, go experience some things, and then come back to your writing desk and put some of those experiences down into poetry. You can use haiku, you can use free verse, you can use prose, you can tell a story even if you don't feel like writing a poem. But no matter what you do, make sure that you really express those stories that are unique to you. And don't be afraid that they're too ordinary, because no story, if it matters to you, is ordinary at all. So I hope that you will go and write something today, and if not today, at least write something this week. And we're so glad that you came and joined us today. We look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday at 2:30. We'll be doing another session like this. And if you don't know already, Young Inklings has a way for you to join as a member. You can go to younginklings.org and you can join our organization as a member. So remember, you can go over and get that giveaway on the link that's right here in this video, and then you can click over to the home page and you can go through this whole fun game to figure out what's your creative style and to join the Inklings and get a starter kit. It will be lots of fun. We hope you join us. Thanks so much for watching today, and see you soon.